That's all. Okay, hey everyone. Thanks for joining us again. I'm Aidan, POC for the Venus Project UK. We have Ludus and Mick here as well. Thanks for coming, guys. Going to carry on with our FAQ kind of recap study session that we've been doing. The name of the game, basically is we read. Well, today we did 4 FAQ questions, and we read them beforehand, tried to answer them ourselves without reading the answers, and now we're going to go through our answers and then cross-check them with the real answers off the venusproject.com. Cool. So let's get the document down. Where is it? What question we start on? Question 12. So a very nice and simple question. What is the plan? I'll say mine quickly. Just one sec while I format the page so I can read it. There we go. So my answer is, please direct your attention to thevenusproject.com and consult the aims and proposals section where the plan is laid out in detail. In a nutshell, for supporters, the current push is to raise awareness, educate ourselves and others.
So I go, first set up a volunteer group of people that learn about a resource-based economy and why one is needed or necessary.
Nice. Ludus, you got any comments on those?
I got nothing. Yeah, got nothing.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay, so let's go check the real answer. I think we'll get through these pretty fast today. So number 12, oh, okay. Maybe I was wrong. This is quite a long answer. Let me just double check, because I believe this is a copy and paste of the aims and proposals.
You are almost right, apart from phase 4 existing, which I just opened up and I was, what the fuck is phase 4, you know what I mean?
Oh god, okay. We shall report that to someone.
Shall we try and summarize it?
Yeah. So what, there's an extra step in the FAQ answer then, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay. That's strange. Mick, if you would like to, yeah, you can kind of summarize it if you want. I'm just going to quickly mute myself and email the web admin on that.
Yeah, so I'll just go over the first paragraph and then I'll do a bit from phase 1, a bit from phase 2, 3 and 4. It's far more efficient to build new cities as self-contained systems from the ground up than to restore and retrofit old ones. New cities can take advantage of the latest technologies and be clean, safe and desirable to live in. In many instances, a circular arrangement will be utilised. Need to take a survey of the planet's resources. The first experimental city or planning centre will conduct a global survey of arable land, production facilities, etc. The function of the first city is to test the validity of design parameters and make necessary changes as needed. The new system will provide all the necessities required to support people during the transitional period and to sustain civilization. You must coordinate advanced technology and available resources within a human global systems approach. So I'm going to jump to phase 1. The first phase of the Venus Project's long-term plan is already underway. Jack Fresco, futurist inventor, industrial designer and the founder of the Venus Project, and his associate Roxanne Meadows constructed the Venus Project in Florida. Produced DVDs, pamphlets, the book that best that money can't buy. The major documentary Future by Design and Paradise or Oblivion to spread awareness. Phase 2 includes the production of a full-length feature film depicting how a world embracing the proposals advanced by the Venus Project would work. This film would provide a positive vision of a peaceful society in which all human beings form a global family on planet Earth, a civilization where all people engage in the pursuit of a better understanding of the world they share. This film has been designed to be an entertaining and educational experience for both adults and children. It also provides a methodology for bridging differences between nations. Phase 3, to test its designs and proposals, the Venus Project is working toward putting its ideals into practice with the construction of an experimental research city. Blueprints for most of the initial technologies and buildings have begun. Fundraising efforts are currently underway to help support the construction of this first experimental city. This new experimental research city will be devoted to working towards the aims and goals of the Venus Project, which are listed quite deeply. There's like 17 things. So,
Do you want me to run through them?
yeah, go on, Ludus, I'm tired of talking.
Okay. First, recognizing the world's resources as the common heritage of all the world's people. 2, transcending the artificial boundaries that separate people. 3, evolving from money-based nationalistic economies to a resource-based world economy. 4, assisting in stabilizing the world's population through education and voluntary birth control in order to conform to the carrying capacity of Earth's resources. 5, reclaiming and restoring the natural environment to the best of our ability. 6, redesigning our cities, transportation systems, agricultural industries, and industrial plants so they are energy efficient, clean, and able to conveniently serve the needs of all the people. 7, sharing and applying new technologies for the benefit of all nations. 8, developing and using clean and renewable energy sources. 9, manufacturing the highest quality products for the benefit of the world's people. 10, requiring environmental impact studies prior to construction of any mega projects. 11, encouraging the widest range of creativity and incentive toward constructive endeavor. 12, outgrowing nationalism, bigotry, and prejudice through education. 13, outgrowing any type of elitism, technical or otherwise. 14, arriving at methodologies through careful research rather than from mere opinions. 15, enhancing communication in schools so that our language corresponds to the actual physical nature of the world. 16, providing not only the necessities of life but also offering challenges that stimulate the mind while emphasizing individuality over uniformity. 17, finally, preparing people intellectually and emotionally for the changes and challenges that lie ahead. And then it says phase 4. Shall I read what that is?
So
Okay.
I'm looking at a slightly different thing. Sorry, yes. Sorry, I was looking at the actual engine proposals.
Okay, alright. Well, phase 4, it says, after the experimental research city is built, a theme park is planned that will entertain and inform visitors about humane and environmentally friendly lifestyles. It will feature intelligently designed cities, houses, high-efficiency, non-polluting transportation systems, advanced computer technology, and many other innovations that can add value to the lives of all people in the shortest possible time. We're quite aware that no one can actually predict the future. We can only extrapolate from present information and trends. Population growth, technological change, worldwide environmental conditions, and available resources are the primary data required for future projections. There is no single philosophy or religious, political, scientific, or ideological point of view that someone would not take issue with. We feel certain, however, that the only aspects of the Venus Project that may appear threatening are those that we impose upon ourselves. The Venus Project is neither utopian nor Orwellian, nor does it reflect the dreams of impractical idealists. Instead, it presents attainable goals requiring only the intelligent application of what we already know. We encourage you to become informed about the proposals in this project through our books, videos, and seminars. If you identify with this direction, we encourage you to join with us and work towards its realization.
Thank you very much, guys. That was a bit of a slog. Ludus, I was cross-referencing with the aims and proposals, and actually phase 4 is Just there's a section after that massive list of things.
A tail end of 3, yeah.
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 If they've just very slightly reworded it, and it's slightly better worded in the aims and proposals, actually. So I've sent them a message, and he'll probably just update this to reflect the aims and proposals now.
Cool.
That's good. Thanks for reading through that all, guys. It's very kind of, there's a lot of stuff in there, if you know what I mean. If it's very good to go, hey, look at this plan. There actually is a big plan, and it's not just kind of stuff. Whilst I might not get all of this or how it's all going to exactly fit together and how it works, there is this plan, and it looks pretty good.
I do have a question, though, in regards to, let's see, so I think phase 2, or perhaps even in the beginning, it just says, yeah, the function of the first city. Nope, that's not true. Yeah, there you go. Okay, we need a current survey of all available planetary resources. By the way, this is paragraph 2 of 12 answer. And it says the first experimental city or planning center will conduct a global survey of arable land and things. But do you think that's just syntax of a sentence not correct? Maybe the first sentence should go after the second, because otherwise they're basically saying, so the first city will be built without the survey. What? I'm confused.
Yeah. Okay. So the way that I read that is that, well, the first experimental city they build, they don't have the resources to do a huge planetary survey at that point. They'll try and do as much as they can locally for what's actually relevant for the here and now of building the city and making it friendly and all that stuff. But in terms of a global survey, they won't actually have that at that point. So I guess one of the first things that they really want to drive in the first experimental city is how to attain this global survey, basically. How to actually do it and then start about that process.
Okay, thank you. That actually makes sense. That really does make sense.
Yeah. The aim is to get that survey as soon as possible. But it's not like you do that before you do anything.
Yes, thank you.
Does it look like there's 2 overlapping bottom half things on my screen?
Correct, yes it does.
Yeah.
You actually clicked it in the beginning, in the intro of all of this Hangout. Yeah, and you first had this, Venus Project United, which sounds like a football team. And then you clicked this, which you have now.
That's very strange. It's doing that. It's because I've got it as a preset, but it's overlaying it over something else. Oh well. Never mind. That doesn't matter. Cool. Any other questions on that? No. All right. Let's close that up. Head back over to here. Answer on question 13. Question 13 is, how do you see the collapse of the present system occurring? So I said there are a number of ways it could crash, from the destructive values of the monetary system to environmental factors. I'd really not like to guess which specific way is more likely. It may well be something kind of unexpected, or unexpected by some people at least, maybe just a change of values of the population.
And I got the Gaussian curve when there is more production but not enough labour due to technological unemployment or automation to afford or pay for the products. But yeah, there is many other ways.
No, that is a likely way.
And I just agree with both of you. That's exactly what the best that money can buy refers to as well. What did they say? Biosocial pressures, pollution, sickness, plagues, monetary insufficiencies. silly amount. It's a sort of pick and mix, if you will, but of the most horrible things to happen to humans and a planet.
Yeah. Now, one thing I would say, Nick, is Jacques, and you're right here, Jacques did call it the Gaussian curve in that video where he explained that kind of diagram. But if you say that to anyone with a kind of mathematical background, they'll be like, what are you talking about? Because the Gaussian curve is not really that in terms of what is called in maths and stuff. So I try not to actually use that phrase because it kind of Jacques kind of used it like that, and no one else has really used it.
I'm glad you tell me that because I used to use that a lot.
Like if you're talking to a layman, you can call it that and say, "Look," it's this," and they'll be impressed.
Yeah, no. What I've learned in statistics is actually Gaussian curves means normal distribution, which I have no fucking clue. How do you relate that to a higher automation than there are need for jobs, and then you know what I mean? I have no, because what he seems to me in the design future, I don't know, future by design, when he explained that, he made it sound like there's arrows interlapping, and because of those arrows interlapping, interests are conflicting, and that's why the crash of system occurs. Which it makes sense, but the word Gaussian curve to be attached to those arrows is non-referential at all. Or at least if it is, then honestly, I have no clue how to ask Jacques that question.
Yeah, it like he says in a couple of his things, like, well, I think he's referencing to what Bucky Fuller said. Is like sometimes you just make up a word and use it. Like you can just explain it later. Might have been some of that. It might have been a word that he made up quite a long time ago before he realised that it was something else. So, I don't know.
I'll read up on the Gaussian curve.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah, you're right. It's all about this normal distribution model type thing. Alright then. Or maybe Jacques just has a really clever way of thinking about it. Anyway, question 14. Oh, no. What am I doing? What's the real answer? That's what we're doing.
13.
Yes. I was going to start reading the next question. Okay. So 13. How do you see the collapse of the present system occurring? Government and industry will continue to assign more and more responsibility for decision-making to intelligent machines. Today's machines handle trillions of bits of information per second, far more than is manageable by any number of industrial or political decision-makers. They can also assemble and assign constantly updated information. The other side of the trend is that so many people would be replaced, we will no longer have the purchasing power needed to sustain a monetary-based system that burdens the entire population and governance with insurmountable debt. As the old monetary system begins to displace more and more people by its reliance on automation, these people will cease to respect the authority of industry. The time-honored pattern of living in all industrial countries, the balancing of work and family interests, will become impossible to maintain for the majority of people displaced by automation. As artificial intelligence develops, machines will be assigned the tasks of complex decision-making in industrial, military, and governmental affairs. This would not imply a takeover by machines. Instead, it will be a gradual transfer of decision-making processes to machine intelligence, as the next phase of social evolution. Many people believe that government leaders bring about change from a deep concern for the well-being of their citizenry. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nor did this past shifts in society come about as the result of changes in the schools or the home. All established governmental systems tend to preserve and uphold their own interests and power base. The real forces responsible for change have more to do with the unforeseen external events or biosocial pressures that physically alter our environment and establish social arrangements. For example, the infusion of machines and processes that replace people and remove their means of making a living, adverse natural conditions of drought, flood, storm, and earthquake, man-made disasters of economic oscillations, or some outside threats of hostile nations. Or aliens. No, that's not in the real FAQ answer. So, okay, that was a lot of talking. Does anyone have any comments on that? Nope. And looking back at our answers, they basically started off with your answer, Mick, and then said mine. If I remember right.
I watched a documentary the other day, and I just started with commenting about the 11th Hour. Apparently DiCaprio did it in 2014, I'd not even heard of it. Well, in erased a little bit, and then there's Stephen Hawkins plus a bunch of people that I don't know whether they're credible or not, so it's worth looking into, like, who these guys are, but just talked about the environmental damage that we're doing. I don't know whether it was exaggerated or not, but it's worth a look at.
Definitely. There's not much of an argument against environmental damage being done at the moment.
You'd be surprised, man. After, honestly, I'm not happy, and I don't recommend anybody to view that video, but I just somehow stumbled on Stefan Molyneux's video where he complains about nature documentaries and stuff, and why they present it in a loving way and then say, hey, you know, so that car you're driving, that's killing all these animals that you fell in love with for the past 40 minutes. And then literally someone in the comment thread linked to the video where some guy says the world is getting greener, and I'm like, so what? Are you one of those sort of, what is it, 2-point-something% of scientists globally who are not part of the 97% global scientist consensus who say, by the way, yeah, it's irreversible and it is man-caused? I mean, I'm just saying people do have time on their hands to do many things, and one of them is to say that the world is getting greener when 97% of all the world's science says otherwise. So, yeah, that's whatever you can do with that comment. It's just a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands.
You're right. I wasn't really meaning for everyone. I just meant for myself.
I'm a nitpicker.
Nice.
Fuck, yeah, don't pay me any mind.
That's fine then. No, you're right. Picking me up on my semantic shit will be clearer. Okay. Next question. Okay. Question 14. Okay, so how do we get from here to there? I said, similar to question 12 that we just looked at, look at the aims and proposals for a specific plan.
And I go, first there needs to be a value shift from competition to collaboration. And when the economy collapses, we look at the scientific and technical database to see which people are willing to help start the first test city. If all goes well with the test city and the world's values have changed, it is estimated that the technical implementation of a resource-based economy may take approximately 10 years.
Okay.
All right, I just have to, because the thing is, that same last statement, Mick, you have made, had baffled me for years. And in one specific, again, of course, my memory serves me shit, and I can't remember which specifically, 2011 online seminar, Roxanne referred to that phrase, change the surface of the earth in 10 years, and Jacques was, helpfully there to help her clarify. It doesn't mean that it's literally from money system to a national, literally global resource-based economy that the 10 years will be the plan. The plan is that once all the mega structures that build the buildings, and you do have all the tech already, from that point, so once the transition is underway, only from that you will, he estimates 10 years, but not from bare bones, everybody's doing what they can type structure, and then after 10 years you got this amazing result. I just thought it's quite important because You know what I mean? People literally can take it into, literally, no pun intended, and they would just say, "Oh yeah, no, nail and a hammer, and it's 10 years." You know, you literally will need to see in reality what you saw in videos like Future by Design, and in the book, those mega rigs that literally just pull up buildings like they're House of Cards or something.
Yeah, no, you're right. That I think I must have seen the same one, or I might have been in a different one. But yeah, I know that 10-year number is just kind of something to stick away from. There's something Jacques said, but it's kind of can be misconstrued. It wasn't very clear on that point. So yeah, it just kind of like it just could give people false hope. You know what I mean? And like it'll make people turn away if they don't realize exactly how hard it is from the start of what we're trying to do. One other thing from your question is right at the start. It says, first there needs to be a value shift and completion to collaboration, and when the economy collapses, you look at the scientific database and build for C. The when the economy collapses, which is fine. You can kind of. I'm not saying you should have said if the economy collapses, but it's not. That's not a step. It's not a required step. There could be a time where we build the first city and we go and look at the technical database and the economy hasn't collapsed yet, or there's a partial collapse, or there's a lots of different. It's not. It needs to collapse before we do it. And I'm pretty sure you kind of meant that, but cool.
I'm glad you guys are here to clarify.
There you go. We don't even need the transhumanism to have the hive mind, you know? Bits of your memory, bits of my memory. Aiden has the stuff, and we can mold a semi-correct answer.
Yeah. I think so far we've been pretty well. We're not going to pat ourselves on the back too much going through these. I'll admittedly was very lazy on this and just kind of said the same as before because it's very much a similar question. Alright, this is another very long answer.
Do you want to segment, divide the effort, stuff like that?
Yeah, okay. We'd take turns and we'll just go on a rota for every paragraph. There you go. I can't bother to split it up into big chunks. And we'll do Ludus, me, Mick.
Alright, let's get this underway. How do we get from here to there? The Venus Project is in the process of introducing a set of values and procedures that may enable us to achieve social nucleation. Our project will provide the designs and blueprints for a prototype community to test the validity of our proposals. We will strive to achieve a relevant orientation by which people may adapt intellectually and emotionally to our new technological age. We feel that anything short of overall social design would be inappropriate and ineffective.
Since we begin in a monetary-based society, the means for raising funds to construct this experimental community can be accomplished in several ways. One is through the production of a major motion picture depicting the advantages of this new social system for all the world's people. Another possibility is the building of a theme park where visitors could actually experience some of the many benefits of the Venus Project's proposals. Books, videos, blueprints, models, and movie scripts and the 21-acre Research and Development Center have already been completed.
Any funds raised by these proposed projects, along with contributions, publications, videos, seminars, lectures, and grants, will be used to help initiate and construct the first experimental city.
Our proposals are submitted to the general public and to all educational institutions. We invite your participation. If enough people find the proposals acceptable and join with us in this new advocacy, we could form the nucleus of an organization to more forcefully implement the aims of the Venus Project.
During the Great Depression of 1929, when banks failed and people were laid off, things seemed hopeless. Those conditions brought about new organizations to address the many problems, everything from Mankind United, socialism, communism, technocracy, and the World Federalist. They produced social awareness on a large scale. These conditions are sometimes referred to as biosocial pressures or the march of events.
At present, people are not well enough informed to devise a relevant and workable social system through rational methods. The Venus Project will not be installed by today's political leaders who are not appointed to change things but to keep things as they are. It is only through the failure of existing social institutions and political incompetence that people will seek other possible social alternatives. They are mainly motivated by severe conditions that threaten their safety and existence.
No nation today is about to give up its sovereignty for a social arrangement that has never been tried. Therefore, it will take a social breakdown to stimulate the search for alternative social designs. This has been the case throughout human history.
The breakdown. The Venus Project cannot be put into practice on a global scale until the economic systems of the world fail to provide for the needs of people.
What will bring about the collapse of the world's monetary systems is the infusion of automation and the outsourcing of jobs. This includes not only the assembly line workers, but also doctors, engineers, architects, and the like. As workers and professionals lose their purchasing power, the industries that depend on them can no longer function. This will bring an end to the monetary system. It is not a question of owners giving up their industries, so much as the fact that people will not have the purchasing power to sustain the system. Even the motion picture industry is generating computerized people who will replace many TV announcers and personalities. This breakdown is already well underway on a global scale.
While these drastic conditions will help produce the motivation for social change, no individual or organization has laid out what changes are necessary and how to bring them about. Our current system is not working. Unless people are aware of or knowledgeable about what is needed, they will continue to repeat the same mistakes: war, recession, boom and bust, hunger, poverty, and much unnecessary human suffering.
The aims of the Venus Project cannot be achieved until people become aware of its proposals and aims. To introduce to the world this new social direction, the best vehicle is a major motion picture. It will present simply and understandably the advantages to all nations of participating in a resource-based economy. This film will be both entertaining and educational. It would present the limitless possibilities of an evolving society which surpasses politics, poverty, money, and war.
The major film could reach the largest number of people the world over in the shortest possible time. We feel it is necessary to produce this motion picture in advance of the social breakdown to help people prepare for this transition and present them with a direction to work toward. There is a lot of work to be done. We hope enough people will become aware of the proposals of the Venus Project before social collapse, so that this new social design may be implemented.
Therefore, our main objective is education through the media. If enough people learn about this direction, accept these proposals, and wish to organize to bring it about, we will then work toward the building of a first experimental city. The Venus Project has designs and blueprints for a prototype community. To further clarify,
Experimental city. The Venus Project proposes the building of a new experimental city whose purposes is twofold. The first is to test the workability of the Venus Project's designs and proposals, and to provide the information necessary to enable people to adjust intellectually and emotionally to social transition. The second is to establish a permanent planning center that will be used for future long and short-term planning of global projects to help implement a resource-based economy and overcome scarcity, hunger, poverty, and other social ills.
This would not be a private enterprise venture for a select few, but would be an open city for the public to visit. The proposed circular configuration of these new cities is not just stylized architectural conceptualizations. They are the result of years of research into providing an environment that can best serve the needs of the inhabitants and yet conserve resources. Without extensive knowledge of the symbiotic relationship between humanity and its environment, it would be extremely difficult to develop workable solutions to our many problems. The Venus Project has taken this and many other factors into careful consideration.
The decisions of a transitional government in this environment would be based upon what is needed to reach the goals of a humane, environmentally sound, and technically sustainable society.
Like all other innovative social projects, it starts out with a few devoted people who dedicate their time to informing others about the humane benefits of this direction. People are invited to help in whatever capacity they can during the initial phases of the new experimental city. An interdisciplinary team of systems engineers, computer programmers, architects, city planners, sociologists, educators, etc. would also be needed.
The design of the Venus Project does not regard environmental conditions as fixed or static. We must allow for adaptation within the system as a continuous process. This will avoid perpetuating temporary arrangements beyond their period of usefulness.
This circular design could be the prototype for a series of new cities to be constructed in various places throughout the world. The rate of progression will depend upon the availability of funds raised and how many people identify with, participate in, and support this direction.
As these new communities develop and become more widely accepted, they may very well form the basis of a new society, preferably through the process of evolution rather than revolution.
The Venus Project does not advocate dissolving the existing free enterprise system. We believe it will come to an end of its own accord as part of social evolution. We encourage you to become better informed about the proposals of this project through our books and videos, and invite you to join with us in working toward the realization of a new civilization that could provide a better life for everyone.
In conclusion, many people want to know what to do immediately to help bring about global unification. If you identify with the proposals of the Venus Project, you can help bring it about by learning more about us through our books and DVDs. You can help promote the direction in any way you are able. Speaking to others about these ideas, fundraising, grant writing, helping with publicity, promoting lecture tours, or helping to produce promotional materials will all help. If you are in a position to initiate the motion picture, this would be very important. There is a lot to do, and we need the help of many people in bringing these ideas into the public.
Our findings and design proposals will be submitted to the general public and all educational institutions. If enough people find the proposals acceptable and choose to join with us in this new advocacy, it will help form the nucleus of an organization to carry out our aims.
The future is our responsibility. If we fail to accept this responsibility, others will do our thinking for us.
Nice. Thank you, guys. A very long one. Quite interesting answer.
Yeah, I have a question about the fourth paragraph.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure in the context which is given in the previous 3 paragraphs that it probably doesn't sound like what I'm making it sound in my head, but 4th paragraph, 3rd sentence, it essentially, if enough people find the proposals, blah blah blah, advocacy can be formed. We could form a nucleus organization to more forcefully implement aims of TVP. So I'm basically, again, engaging my nitpicking as holiness to ask about forcefully, you know?
I think maybe it was the wrong word to write. I think maybe they should have wrote more, I don't know, like the media does with marketing.
Actively, enthusiastically.
Yeah, not like with guns.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, I get the context. That's why I'm saying that I understand the previous 3 paragraphs, but just I don't know, it just seems like an oversight.
Yeah, I would read that as it sounds like it's been mistranslated, and it's supposed to be like our organizations would be in a stronger position to implement a resource-based economy.
Which is how I understood it. Thanks. Yeah.
Interestingly, that was that was the paragraph that I thought as well. And I need to scan down to the bottom again because they basically repeated that exact paragraph at the end.
Correct. Yes, they
But
did.
it says here, our proposals are submitted to the general public and all educational institutions. Are they? In terms of the blueprints and stuff, that's all locked up. Do
Yes.
they actually send out their material to schools actively?
Well, apparently certain chapters, yeah, I've heard that they do work with kids, but not in this way. Which, by the way, again, could be literally a problem with syntax, not the realistic actions now that are occurring. The way they make it sound is that these things, as the transition moves on forward, in the future we are doing etc. But not now. 2015, 13, 14, whatever, in previous years when these aims and proposals existed.
You're kind of right, and it just is a slight grammatical change of tense, I guess.
Right. You see what I mean?
Confused me. And actually, when I look down at the bottom, it says our findings and design proposals will be submitted to the general public and all educational institutions.
You just proved it. Yeah.
So there is obviously a time in the future where they're going to go, okay, now.
No, yeah, you're completely correct because what you said about blueprints, yeah, you're right. They are a little locked up. I wouldn't use that word, but definitely not shared to the public. No.
Yeah. And it's fair enough because Jacques had enough stuff stolen off him and then misused.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, when I was at the Venus Project, I asked about, well, so what's going on? Why aren't you sharing? Because at the motel that we were staying with a friend, there was a receptionist who said, "Oh, so you went to see Jacques," and we both were all excited. And her remark was, "Oh, well, there were two gentlemen in suits and suitcases, essentially, who came back from the same tour you did, but they literally had a suggestion for Jacques, and the whole story boils down to, oh, Jacques just kept it to himself." And then I thought, dude, this is fucking insane. I literally feel like all this education is now for nothing because what you told me runs contrary to everything that he said in lectures and in videos. So what the hell? We drove to the compound as we signed out of the motel. I asked Roxanne, so what's up, man? This human tells me that you had proposals for actual things to be built and you just refused. And then the backlog of detail actually comes into play. So yes, those two men did exist and they were real and they were with suits. However, they were people who were interested in a business metropolitan city. They had no concern themselves with any of the values which are proposed to go along with the architecture. So lo and behold, if the two are not accepted, one doesn't equal Venus Project. It just equals a business venture. And that is the whole story.
Yeah, you're right. And I have a feeling they probably get approached a little, like on a somewhat regular basis about stuff. Because, well, enough for Roxanne to come out and say that, like, there's stuff going on, but we didn't tell you about it because quite a lot of it's junk. Like,
Yeah.
paraphrasing horribly. I'm not saying they're doing junk. I mean, until something's in, what does she say? Is something like until it's actually set in stone, then they'll release it. But there's no point getting people's hopes up.
Yep.
All right. The next answer is still quite long. Sorry, do we have any more about that question? I'm sure I had a bunch of points as I was going along, like, nothing too. But I forgot it. As we're kind of running out of time.
Well, but we did cover all three though, so we're good.
Yeah. But for me, I like. Yeah, we can do 15 next time if you want. The answer's not that long. And our answers were pretty quick.
Up to you guys.
I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, we'll just go through it quickly. I think. This is kind of a boring question again. So, question 15 is, what are the first steps taken towards a global resource-based economy? My answer, being lazy again, is similar to question 12. Look at the aims and proposals for a specific plan. The first steps have already begun in Venus, Florida, and are ongoing.
And I got education, awareness, value shift, and economic collapse, but not only that. I'm editing.
Great.
Cool. All right. But Mick, going back to that point quickly, to be fair to you, like reading the answer from the one before, it was pretty much we were kind of waiting for economic collapse before, we're trying to do stuff, but really it's gonna get fun then. So maybe I was a touch harsh and pointed that out. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I like your. It's gonna get fun then. Shit.
Interesting, maybe. All right. So should we just read out this answer and then we can call it a day?
Just take a chunk. That was weird though. Reading paragraph for paragraph. It just. I don't know.
I thought it was better because you got like.
It sounds like a high school collage or something.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool.
You can do that, then I'll stay out.
All right. Well, I'll read a bit and then I'll give up, and that's gonna take over. After agreement is attained by it's done. What are the first steps taken towards a global resource-based economy? After agreement is attained by nations to move towards unification and sharing of the Earth's resources, a global survey of available resources, technical personnel, production plants, arable land, etc., has to be done to provide us with sufficient information in order to ascertain the parameters of social design. During the initial phase of the cybernetic system being developed will serve as a data bank to tell us what is available. This will enable us to proceed with the design. The major initial task will be to provide food, water, shelter, medical care, and clean sources of energy. During the transition, scarcity regions will be provided with heat concentrators for cooking and sterilizing water. Food for those areas can be dehydrated and compressed to save shipping space. We could extrude many food products which consist of high-protein foods containing most of the necessary nutrients to sustain those in the underdeveloped regions. The packaging will be biodegradable and may double as non-contaminating fertilizers. Regions without arable land will use hydroponic farms, land-based fish farms, and sea farming. Most of the world's universities will partake in the basic designs of cities, production facilities, transportation of goods and services. The basic design parameters are the aims and end goals of the Venus Project. Some of these may be efficient, economic, and safe utilization of resources for the benefit of people and the environment, whilst considering the recycling of materials. The units of construction would easily assemble and disassemble by prefabrication, automation, and shaped memory materials. Clean sources of energy will be a priority in all of the infrastructure. Energy will come from wind, solar, heat concentrators, photovoltaic, wave, biomass, geothermal, and other sources. Next.
Although many ideas will be submitted, the methods of selecting will be based upon energy determinants or the required energy to produce a given product. There will be many materials that will not be readily available. The research departments throughout the world will be assigned the tasks of developing alternative systems and materials to overcome shortages. One must remember that the research and development does not depend on funding, and resources will be assigned where most needed, so development will be tremendously accelerated. Along with these developments, we need emergency contingency departments that can act immediately in the event of any unforeseen event. The function and use of computers will be to provide information on what is available during the transition from a monetary to a resource-based economy. As the needs mentioned above are being initiated, the automated systems will be in development to help eliminate shortages. All media will be used to expose people to this new emergent direction. The system will provide all the necessities required to support people during the transitional period. People will be working in all areas to help eliminate scarcity. To sustain civilization, we must coordinate advanced technology and available resources within a humane, global systems approach. For instance, the characteristics of the population in a given area will determine how many hospitals and schools are built and the equipment needed. Some medical systems will be mobile and the others will be prefabricated on land and sea. An interdisciplinary team of qualified personnel, in line with the project's requirements, will work on automated systems to produce and supply goods and services on a massive scale. These can be the armies of the future, a large peaceful mobilization to restore and preserve the earth and its people. This has never been done before and can only be done when money is no obstacle. The question is not do we have the money, but do we have the resources and means to realize this new direction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Honestly, I get sucked in when these certain things are mentioned. So when he mentions the certain bags of food, yeah, you know, right here, the packaging will be biodegradable and may double as a non-contaminating fertilizer. Come on, man, you know what I mean? That's ingenious. That's really fucking clever. And just, I don't know why, but if you guys seen the film Waterworld, it just reminds me of that. Like the main protagonist's ship was basically designed for as many contingencies as he could think of, and during the movie he literally used all of them in various situations. So this, it just seems like a, you know, if the technology and your ingenuity allows it, you'll just come up with some crazy thing where, yeah, it's a glove for one purpose, it's this new thing for a different purpose. Just sounds very clever.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question. I'm not sure whether this is on topic, but I heard something about desalinization, that it's takes a lot of energy to do it, and you need like double the amount of water to get, like, I don't know, you need 2 parts of water to get 1 part of drinking water. I was just wondering how technically viable desalinization is. Does anybody have any ideas?
Not too much. I know that it's getting better. The technology is always getting better. I don't know where I'm trying to half remember some information from. Oh wait, is it actually what's Zeitgeist? Right, the main one. What's his name?
PJ?
Jay. He's a Joseph. That's.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really tired. His talk, that like hour and a half long talk he did, going into detail about stuff. He said something about desalinization in there, and I'm pretty sure there's another one that was better than desalinization.
Well, all I know, I mean, I'll just interject until maybe Aiden, you remember the detail. I remember some office in Australia already recommended and actually prototyped and demonstrated in a working office environment that moisture collectors. So essentially a kind of converter, a filter, which basically takes air, just breathable air, boils it down, filters it, makes it drinkable, and then you got fresh water. And so again, nothing happens, nothing breaks any physical laws. It's just conversion. You got atoms, they're rearranged. There you go, drink it. Okay, no problem. So, well, desalinization in the way that it's proposed now could be what you're saying. Oh, too much energy this, too much energy the other. But then it's the same fucking debate which is with the solar panel cells. Oh my god, they're just not efficient. Dickhead. How many other thousands of technologies exist? What are you talking about? Just solar panels? How much do you really care about Earth? Oh, let's just focus on this one thing. It seems like a hipster craze of some sort. You know what I mean? Like somebody would just take this one thing and then, no, but here's the picture. No, but this thing just needs more paint. It just has to be, oh, it's just not enough detail. Like, no, dude, this is the thing.
Here's the thing, I read a really good book called Green Illusions. And both of you know Art Out, and he told me to read that book. And for a while, I was like, "What are you talking about?" But I actually read it, and it's really, really good. And it does actually say that it's like a guy who's pro green energy, but saying, "Look, the stuff we've got today is not helping at the moment." Like, I can't. In about like 10 or so years, all the solar panels in the first generation are going to be waste, and then what do you do with that? Like. The amount of time it takes to them to work back their own, it doesn't add up. I can't remember any of the stats, but it was very, very cool. Good read.
It's true. It's many of the stuff that we're talking about now. It's still just outdated the way of thinking. Nothing to do with technology. How many people right now utilize Jacques' thinking of, okay, well, here's the demolished building. Let's fucking look for every goddamn recyclable bit we can use. Every piece of cement, every piece of steel, every piece of glass, fiberglass, insulation. I mean, literally, I'm a layman and I could already name these components. You're telling me that educated and qualified engineers can't do this shit? Give me a break, you know. And then you need all this stupid budgeting to erect some kind of penthouse. Which, by the way, my father worked on one of these projects in London. Apparently, $1 million a month, you know, super sweet mega duplex hotel was built with shitty fucking secondhand wood panels as floor. So you're paying for prestige of being on top fucking floor, nothing more. Literally, that's how retarded this whole building thing is. Granted, it was 4 years ago the project my father worked on, and practices are probably not uniformly poo all throughout the world. But I'm just simply stating that obviously not everybody gives a shit. You know, if you need to complete a project, we'll understand the pressures of time and budgets and, oh, well, this is our deadline. So, yeah, certain things are going to be foregone. You will have burst pipes or shitty insulation on electrical wiring, which actually should have been maybe, you know, quality tested and stuff. I mean, there's plenty of these things. Whatever burnt down, such and such was scratched, this and this fell through the floor. It's all because we take shortcuts as a society now. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just too much of a extrapolation, and I should have shut up 5 minutes ago. But it just seems like just one switch in your thinking, and all of a sudden, all these resources that people are fretting about now, not even going to enter your mind because you're doing stuff more efficiently and with consideration to actually give a shit about a person who's living in this house you're building.
I wonder how long it's going to be until people start thinking cradle to cradle when producing things.
What does that mean?
Is that like so that when you make something, you know, it can be recycled when the time's up, and you can remake something?
Is that actually what is the term?
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like a model in terms of product design that has been kind of extrapolated to a bigger idea about thinking about the world. But basically, today you do cradle to grave, so you make something and then it dies. The whole point of cradle to cradle is you make something and it keeps being remade and keeps being reused and all that stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I didn't quite get through their book. I don't know. It was just a bit. I just didn't quite feel it, but it's quite an interesting idea.
Okay. Thanks. That's another new thing.
Going back to cyanidization stuff, just quickly is aquaponics and hydroponics. Like the technologies, our usage will hopefully go quite a lot down as we start using technologies kind of freely. So hopefully it won't be quite so much an issue. Although right now you're forgiven to say it's a big problem, is in looking at possible population trends and things like that.
Well, it's not even that, is it? I mean, right now, what was the big deal about why thorium nuclear reactors didn't replace the uranium-based reactors, and it was the whole phrase. What was it? Wait, price. There's a specific term they use, isn't it? Price for performance or price efficiency coefficient or consideration.
I mean, like cost price analysis.
Double plus good. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. And so obviously, since now this is your standard, this is your consideration, instead of, oh, okay, what's the need of people? Literally, I mean, that last couple of paragraphs we read had exactly that. We take how many people are ill, how many people, whatever, are ignorant of such and such subjects. That will mean which, even for school, okay, fine, you plop a school down, but that's just building, that's just shell. So however many people don't know about behavioral science, that department will be enhanced because enough people know about maths. You don't need as much resource for maths. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, you just kind of insulate these tragedies that would occur otherwise if you just simply built some shit to standard like it is now. And again, the reason is, oh, we've always done it that way. Okay, well, that's good. Keep going.
Yeah. And all the monetary incentives is to behave that way.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you want to pick out from that question?
Cool, man.
Good. So what we're doing next week, 16, 17, 18?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just those three. And hopefully by next week I'll have actually worked out a calendar type thing so we can just consult that, and I'll get Ludus. I have what that blurb that you wrote about how this whole thing is working, and I meant to today get that onto the Google Sheet as well as like an introductory page. I'll aim to be doing that for next week as well.
Great.
Cool. Oh yes, we're still recording. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're still here, if you're still awake, I'm dead.